If you want to buy a house in San Antonio, but you have absolutely no idea where to start, then this is the right video for you. Let's get into it. One of the biggest misconceptions I hear is I need perfect credit. I need 20% down. I don't have enough money. It's gonna, some of these are valid, but most of these are holding you back from actually being able to buy a home. I'm gonna break down the home buying process from beginning to end, how much money you need to put down, what your credit score needs to be at. Step by step, we're gonna break it down together and we're gonna get you into a home. I'm gonna explain it to you the same way I would explain it to my own clients here in San Antonio. First of all, are you actually ready to buy? Before we even start looking at houses, we need to see if you can qualify, right? Notice I did not say, can you afford a house? I said, are you ready to buy? There's a difference. I wanna look at four major things: your income, your employment history, your credit, and the amount of money you have saved in reserves. All of these play a crucial role in whether or not you are ready to buy a home. The problem I see most people run into is they actually eliminate themselves before they even get the chance to talk to a lender. Maybe Credit Karma shows that they've got 580 and maybe they don't have $10,000 in the bank, $20,000 in the bank, and they eliminate themselves before they even know what their buying power actually is. That's a big mistake. Depending on the loan program and your individual financial profile, then the requirements are going to be different. And all that is going to bring up new options you didn't even know existed. Now, how much money do you actually need? This is probably the biggest question first-time homeowners ask me. How much money do I actually need to buy a house? And the answer is, it depends on a few things. First of all, let's get a misconception out of the way. Everybody, for some reason, assumes you need 20% down to buy a house. That is not true at all. Is it one of the options? Of course it's one of the options. But as I mentioned, there are multiple ways to get you to qualify for a home. For instance, if you're a first-time home buyer, then the route you would go would be FHA. FHA is the loan for first-time homeowners, right? Their program has a minimum credit score of 580, 2 years of work history, and that's basically it, right? They have debt-to-income ratios that you need to meet, and that's where the lender comes in, and that's where we figure out how much can you actually afford? What will they qualify you for? And the beauty of the FHA program, that is a 3.5% down program, where all you need to put for the down payment is 3.5%. That is not including any incentives. That is not including any closing costs or credits that we get from the sellers or the builders. I've had clients that have gotten in for as little as almost $0 down, right? It's definitely possible, but that's the first program, is the FHA. Now, where the idea of the 20% comes from typically is from conventional loans. That's where the typical number is 20%. However, there are conventional loan options for as little as 10 or even 5% down in some cases. The benefit to the conventional loan is you'll start with more equity right away, and also kind of going to be your go-to if you're not a first-time home buyer. Whereas FHA, that is only for first-time home buyers. The other loan product that's offered is the VA loan. This is for our veterans. The VA loan is a great program that offers 0% down financing, right? If you can qualify for that, it's a great program to help you get into a home. Now, these programs are not cut and dry. The amount that you owe is going to be down to your financial profile, and every individual is different, right? So the lender's job is to take a look at your profile and see what would fit you the best and what would be most beneficial for what you're looking for. Now, people assume the down payment is your only cost. That's not true. There are such a thing as closing costs, where you have your lender's fees, title fees. There's a ton of different things that go into your closing costs. You prepay your taxes, your insurance. You have things like the inspection, appraisals, stuff like that, all go into your closing costs, and potentially other transaction expenses as well. Which is why there's not a set number for everybody, right? Two people buying the identical house of $250,000 might have wildly different costs at the end of everything that's said and done, because they're going to have maybe a different loan program. Maybe their realtor negotiated different incentives, different concessions. My last house that just sold, we saved them over $15,000. Their closing costs were down to zero, and they even got money off of their down payment as well. So the right question is not how much does it cost to buy a house? The right question is how much would I need to buy a house? And that is where I come in, my team comes in, and we get you those numbers, and we walk you through the process step by step. All this is called the pre-approval process, right? Pre-approval is where we get the number that says, hey, your client is approved for $250,000, $300,000, whatever the number may be. Now y'all can start shopping. There's no reason to shop for a home when we don't know what our budget is yet. Why would I want to waste your time and ruin your expectations by showing you a $800,000 house when the lenders are only going to approve you for a $300,000 house or a $400,000 house, right? This is the best way that we keep communication open and we keep our expectations appropriate, because my job is to find you your dream home at your approved budget, right? Because there's no use in seeing a home that you won't qualify for. That's going to be somebody else's home. I want to find your perfect home at your perfect budget. This is where most people screw up. They spend weeks talking to Zillow, Redfin, looking online, all these things before even going to look at a lender, right? I have a team of lenders. We make it quick, we make it simple, and we get you through the process step by step. The first step should not be looking through Zillow for weeks on end. A realtor, give me a call and we can help make it happen. Now, just because you get approved for a certain amount doesn't mean you have to stick to that amount, right? I've had clients that have gotten approved for $350,000, but their dream home at their dream budget was $290,000, right? It's about me finding the right home, one, that you're approved for, and two, that is at the monthly payment that you're comfortable with, right? It's all about your comfort level. There are so many things to consider when it comes to budgeting for a home that we don't just look at price. We have things like our taxes. We have things like HOA fees if you live in a community with an HOA. We have things like interest rates and incentives. There are so many things to consider when it comes to purchasing a home. The price is not the only thing that we look at. It's not as simple as asking what's the price. What we want to be doing is asking how much is this home actually going to cost me month in and month out. All right, now we are actually looking at houses. We are touring houses. I'm giving you lists. You're sending me calls, and we are narrowing down the thousands of options around your city, or my city in particular, San Antonio, and we are getting you into the home that is the right option for you by narrowing down that list to our perfect or top options, right? This is my favorite part. Well, besides closing, of course, but this is one of my favorite parts. It's exciting, and it's a lot of times the client's favorite part too before they get their keys. There are two things to consider, your needs and your wants, right? My job is to make sure that the needs are absolutely taken care of first, and then we look at the wants, and that's where we can narrow our list down from there, right? If you absolutely need a garage, I'm not gonna take you to houses that don't have a garage. Why would I do that? If you need a house that has a garage, but you want a house that has an office, I'm not gonna show you a house that has an office but no garage, right? Because we set our priorities. If the garage is your highest priority, then that takes precedent over everything else. Now, ideally, in a perfect world, we're gonna find you a home with a garage and an office so you get your needs and your wants. But our job is to make sure that we get you your needs taken care of first. So after all that fun, we tour all the homes, maybe it takes one day, maybe it takes multiple days, but we finally found your house. Now what? What do we do now? Well, it's my job to talk with you, explain our options, and write up a competitive offer on that house that makes you happy and make sure that we secure that home. The offer is not as simple as saying, we'll take it at the price you're saying, right? There are many things we can use to negotiate when it comes to writing up a contract. We have the sales price, of course. We have things like closing costs, right? We can negotiate that the closing costs are taken care of by the seller or up to a certain amount, depending on what we negotiate. Realtors fees. Actually, in my entire career, I have not had any of my clients actually have to pay for my services because either the builders have paid for it, which that's another thing to keep in mind. New construction homes have to pay the realtors. So that is not a burden by you. That is required by the government. With pre-owned homes, it's not a requirement, but we've been able to negotiate in all my deals that the sellers pay for my fee for the buyers, and my buyers have not had to pay me, so my services have been free. So we have things like realtors fees, closing sales price. We have things like the earnest money and the option period, title fees, potential repairs being done. This is where it's my job to really take a complete look at what we're trying to accomplish here and write up the best competitive offer I can for you. Okay, cool. Now they approved you, they accepted the deal. We're in our option period, which is your opportunity to back out if something goes wrong. That is also what we consider the due diligence period, right? This is when we get our inspections done, and this is another crucial step. Your inspector is going to go and evaluate the house, and he's going to give you an extremely detailed report of everything great and everything not so great about the house. Even if you get a brand new home, trust me, there is no perfect home. You're going to get something on that inspection report. But our priority is to make sure that the 5 major appliances are taken care of. Those are your HVAC, your electrical, your plumbing, your roof, and your foundation. Those are the big ticket items that if there's something wrong, we either want to get out of this deal or we want to negotiate for repairs or credits. Of course, other small things, if they bother you or your agent, we can negotiate to have those fixed as well, but the priority is always going to be the major appliances. Next is the appraisal. We're probably out of our option period by here, and now the appraisal is going to be ordered. This is where an appraiser is going to come in from the lender, and they're going to determine exactly what the value of your home is. Now, unfortunately or fortunately, this is subjective, but this is where you get your home value. Now, it's different than a tax assessment. So if you look at the taxes at your county and it shows this is how much your house is worth, that's a good idea, but it's not always exact what the appraisal is going to be. An appraiser actually goes inside and they look at every detail of your house and they determine what the value of your home is. This is great for multiple reasons. Let's say you buy a house at $250,000 and the appraisal comes in and says, we appraised your house at $270,000. You just walked into that new home with $20,000 of instant equity like that. Now, let's look at the alternative. You're going under contract for a house for $250,000, and they say your house only came in at $240,000. Now we can go back and we can actually negotiate either one, us getting out, or two, we can negotiate a price drop to where the price will go down to the value that's appraised. Why would we want to buy a house that didn't appraise for what we're looking for? Now we're near the end. We are in the underwriting process. You've already gotten pre-approved. Now we need to get that final approval. This is where your lender is going to go in and they're going to take a deep dive into your finances. They're going to look at everything, bank statement, pay stubs, debt to income. They're going to take everything they can and get a really good idea so that they can be solid that, yes, we can give you the loan for this house. We're good to go. They're going to ask for a lot more information here. This is probably, I would say, the most tedious part of the process, but it's a good sign. If you're in underwriting, it means you're close to the finish line already. We are at the final walkthrough and closing now. This is the exciting part. Final walkthrough. We go through one more time. If you're in a new construction home, typically they'll have the blue tape walkthrough where you mark everything with blue tape and that gets fixed by the builders before you move into your new home. Or if it's a pre-owned, you do your final walkthrough where you walk through one more time, make sure everything is exactly in the condition that you negotiated it to be or that you've accepted it as. And you give your final signature that, yes, we walked through, we acknowledge that we saw it, and it's exactly what we agreed to, right? Once that's done, and it's usually done a couple days before closing, now we're at the closing table. Now closing day comes. You sign your final documents, the money gets wired, you're fully funded, and we hand you your keys. You are officially a homeowner. Congratulations. It's a big step in everybody's journey here in life. Most people will buy multiple homes throughout their lifetime, but you never forget your first home. It's something special that can't be replicated, this feeling, right? We do the gifts, we do the celebration, we do the whole 9 yards, and you are now a homeowner. That's amazing. Now, what would I do if I wanted to buy a home in the next 6 to 12 months? Well, if I wanted to buy a home in the next 6 to 12 months, I would make sure my credit is not an afterthought. I don't necessarily need to go immediately into credit repair, but I want to make sure that I'm being smart with my money. Credit card balances, I'm trying to keep them as low as possible. I'm trying to make sure I don't have any late payments, anything like that. I would start preparing now. I would start putting maybe a little bit away for savings. And then I would reach out to a realtor, ideally myself, and I would get all the information I need to get the process started and see what lenders are partnered with so that I can find out what I'm pre-approved for. The beauty of the pre-approval is if they're not able to approve you right away, they'll tell you what steps you need to complete in order to get that pre-approval. Maybe you're ready today. Maybe you're ready in 3 months. Maybe you're ready in 6 months. Either way, the best time to get started, at least preparing for that, is now. Because the worst thing is that the right incentives come around, the right interest rate comes around, the right home hits the market, and you're not prepared. Now we're scrambling. My job is to save you money. My job is to get you the best deal. And in order to do that, I really need to suggest that you start preparing as soon as possible. So if you're in San Antonio and you're thinking, Julian, I want to buy a house, but I don't know exactly when I'll be ready, that's fine. That is the exact conversation that I want to have with you. You don't have to be ready to buy tomorrow. You don't even need to know exactly where you want to live or what kind of house you're looking for. And you definitely do not need to understand this whole process before you reach out to me. Send me a message or comment with the word ready, and I'm going to figure out exactly where you stand and how we can get you to becoming a homeowner on your timeline. And if you are ready, then let's go find a house. I'm Julian Cavazos, Julian the House Plug here in San Antonio. Please subscribe if you found this information useful. I'm going to have more videos coming for all things buying, selling, investing, and real estate here in San Antonio. I'll catch you in the next one.